Hey everybody, welcome to the Homeplace Ramble pre-race briefing. I'm Sean, I'm half of 361. You'll likely see my brother Dallas sometime race weekend. So this is how we do the pre-race briefing. You're actually going to get your maps when you check in early Saturday morning. So this will save you some time from listening to me. Short origin story on the race. So Dallas and I, we grew up in Flat Gap. It's like 20 minutes away from Paintsville Lake. Saw on Facebook group hikes being hosted by the Johnson County Trail Town Committee. So joined a few of those, started talking to Jonathan Picklesheimer, got to know him a little bit. He asked, kind of what I do. I mentioned 361 adventure racing, and he was all about us trying to host an event here in Paintsville. So it's escalated very quickly. A couple months later, we're doing a 2-day, a 12-day, a 6-hour, and yeah, here we are. So thank you for signing up this first year. We're excited to showcase you Paintsville Lake. Found so many areas that I had no idea were out there, even growing up so close to it. So backyard, really got to explore it, really highlighting some of the great stuff, waterfalls, overlooks. The stuff that I think a lot of you, probably even if you're from around here, may have not seen before. So excited about that. Again, thank you for signing up. Thank you to the Johnson County Trail Town Committee for pushing this forward, all the help. It's a great community builder, so we're excited to be here hosting it. And then I'm going to just dive right into it. If you're listening to this, you have received the racer communication. So I don't want to be redundant and go over every little aspect here. I'd suggest you read through all of it first before watching this video. So hit pause or whatever, read through it so you know what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to hit a few of the highlights, the important stuff, and then also cue you in on a few things that aren't actually captured in the written form here. So let's just dive into it here. Another thank you is our volunteers. Don't want to leave them out, or they're essential to what we're doing. Obviously, be kind to them. They're out there to help, and we can't thank them enough. So please extend your thank you to them anytime you run into a volunteer out there. The last thank you I have is to one of our primary sponsors, Xanthol. That's the poison ivy scrub people. They've saved my legs multiple times. Winners, or actually top 3 in each race, you're going to get some Xanthol stuff. Super expensive, but also just like so effective. So excited to have them as a sponsor. We use it. We believe in it. So, and then so the important stuff, as I disappear here. So a lot of you, this is your first time doing any of these type of events. So this is important. This is what you're actually looking for. I've hung dozens of these in the woods over the past 2 weeks. So what it is on the map, there'll be a circle. It'll correspond to a real world location where one of these is hung. So that's what you're looking for. Attached to it is a punch. So when you visit the checkpoint, this will be in your race packet. This is your passport, numbered. You're going to punch the box of the CP you're at. So that verifies to us that you visited it. So that's how the race works. Scoring wise, it's the number of CPs you get within your time frame. That's the whole gist of the sport. You're trying to punch as many of those as you can within your allotted time frame before the cutoff. So it's scored first by the number of CPs, then by time. So time is really just the tiebreaker. If a team comes in both having 12 checkpoints, obviously the one that came in earlier will win. So that's the general scoring, the general premise of the sport. On that note, it's 2 notes. On the 2-day, it's cumulative. It's a 2-day race, so it's not broken up in day 1 or day 2. We'll let you know where you're at in the mix, but the final scoring will be for the cumulative 2 days. And then the other one is if you think you're in the right area, you're not finding the CP, it could be missing. That's rare, but particularly along the more popular areas, the overlooks, the waterfalls, those CPs haven't been out there long, but they could still be missing. For whatever reason, some people like to tear them down, rip them down. They're locked, takes some effort, but it has happened. So just be aware of it. Don't spend a half an hour looking for a CP if you think you're in the right location. Just note it. If you come back to the finish and it's verified missing, you'll obviously get credit. If a dozen teams punched it after you visited, no, you won't get credit. You were in the wrong location. So that's a note on the missing CPs. Logistics wise, start, finish is all at the same location. It's basically the marina area of Paintsville Lake State Park. We're actually in Shelter 4, so I'm giving you the map link, the directions there if you're not from around here. Everyone can check in at 6 a.m. What you're going to do if you haven't raced with us before, you'll show up. We'll have a string of bib numbers attached to a race packet. So from the race roster here that I linked, you can just find your bib number, grab your packet, and it's broken down in whatever race you're at. And then unpack the packet, read the instructions, and you should be good to go. You can start planning your course on the maps. So I think that's the only logistics. Start at 7 a.m. That's for everyone. And then one other thing on the scoring that's important that I'll highlight here. Cutoff is extremely important if you miss the cutoff, whatever it is for your particular race. If you miss the cutoff, it's a loss of 1 CP. For every 2 minutes after, it's another loss of a CP. So you can see how quickly being late can really mess up your results. So that's one of the huge drivers of showing up on time. It's not a DNF like the Barkley or anything, but there is quite the penalty. So plan wisely, leave yourself some buffer to get back to the finish on time. Maps wise, this may not mean a lot to some of you if you're completely new to it. Scales on there, just a note, it's one map set per team. That's just kind of traditional how this sport goes. They're on waterproof paper. That means waterproof, not indestructible. So protect them. They're high value. You'll need them to do this thing. And then just a note, pre-plotted, meaning the circles that correspond to the real world location. They're already on the map, so you'll get the map. You'll know where all the CPs are. You can plan your route. And then the note on bibs, it doesn't matter where you attach it. Just make sure it's visible. A few other map notes. So the course is steep. It's really hard. It may not be indicative of the map. Nuance-wise, they're on 40-foot contour intervals. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's just steep. So it may look like, kind of flat topography-wise, but those contour intervals are so steep that, I can verify it's hard in the real world. The other note is the wildlife management area. So that's a layer that's available. I've pulled it into the maps to help you. A lot of the WMA is actually marked in the real world with red stripes on trees. Super helpful to kind of guide you along, particularly along the ridge lines. It's a good way to validate where you're at. Big note on that, though, is that WM layer that's on the map is not always accurate with what's in the real world, and that's just how it is. It's a public map layer that's pulled in, so just be cognizant of it. It doesn't always match up. Always trust the real world markers, though. Like that's what we have to go by, since that's what's painted as far as not going over those, etc. And then the other note is that the trails you see on the map, chances are I mapped them, I walked them, I GPX'd them. Those I can verify. Realize I didn't scour every square mile of the lake. You may come across trails that simply aren't on the map. That's not uncommon. That's a thing with maps. Maps are often outdated. So just be aware that if you're following a trail that I've put on there, which is probably going to be a purple line, it'll be really obvious which ones have been added. Just don't be thrown off if you're coming across a logging road that doesn't show on your map. That's just one of the things of the sports here. And those maps are not at all up to date. So, and then one other thing, I added notes on the maps specifically for areas that I thought could use attention, whether it's, I would suggest crossing here or be mindful of this, X, Y, and Z. So those are called out on your map. What else? Not to double dip here, mandatory gear list is there. A note on water. So there's no official water stations. This isn't like a triathlon or a bike race or whatever. This is an adventure race. Either, especially for the 6 hours, pack 6 hours worth of water for the 12 and 2-day. Obviously rely on the treatment. So that's lots of water on the course. At least there was last weekend. A lot of the creeks are still flowing. You have the lake. I've dipped from that a few times and no consequences. So water on the course, just be prepared to treat. A few dinner notes there, super important. Read through those. I know people like eating. And then the gear staging, this is only for the 2-day, so I'm going to save that to the end. So the 6 and 12 can knock off early. Safety-wise, 911 is your go-to, best bet. Dispatch has been notified, and then Oil Springs is also going to be queued up for us if you need them. My phone number is on the course materials. If you can't reach me on a phone call, try a text. Reception is spotty out there. I've gone from 5 bars to SOS. I'm on Verizon, so just realize that's part of the safety part of the equation. Come self-sufficient. Come ready to self-extract. A lot of times, you're just simply not going to be able to get out a phone call or a text. Emergency 911. Rely on it. It's always hard to guess, like, biggest risk, just forecasting the weather, looking at it this weekend, particularly on Sunday for our 2-day people. Supposed to get up into the 90s. Saturday supposed to be, 80ish like it has been here. So heat stress may be a factor. Obvious redundant advice. Stay hydrated, electrolytes. Take care of yourself. It can sneak up on you quickly and can really shut you down. Make your mind fuzzy, slow you down. So just be super aware of where you're at as far as getting hot. The other big safety I saw, 1 copperhead. Now realize that's out of, probably 70 plus hours of hiking, mapping the trails, setting the checkpoints out there. So that's not, I'll take that ratio, 1 snake per 70 hours. Be aware they're out there though. Watch your footing, especially stepping over logs or those snaky areas that you come across. The other one, not so crucial. I'd highly recommend pants across all the races. Gaiters, leg protection, whatever you use. Briars, there's poison ivy. Occasionally you'll find the ridge lines with like the rusty barbed wire that's hard to see, especially if you're in jog mode or whatever. So yeah, I would definitely recommend pants just to protect your legs. Mandatory gear, that's mandatory for a reason. Rely on it. There's some safety things in there that can get you out of a pickle if you do find yourself in one. Anything else here? Super important to us and to you, that passport. So this is our validation that you are off course. When you get to the finish, you either have to let us know that you've lost this thing, hopefully not the case, or you have to turn it in. This is our check to verify that you're off course. We've had racers not turn these in, and we've actually deployed search and rescue looking for them while they're having, a burger at McDonald's. That's a no-go. You have to turn this in or notify us that you're off course. This is our tried and true to know that you're safe. So please be aware of that. Please be respectful of it. It can cause a lot of stress, a lot of resources if you don't turn that thing in. Another one, more on the rule side, but also safety. Rule is you need to stay within 30 yards, 30 meters of your teammates. That's, within talking distance. We don't want you separated on course looking for checkpoints. We want you to stay, if you signed up as a team, as a team. Some other team notes. If one person decides this isn't for them, no problem. Let us know. We typically let the other racer continue as long as there's no safety concerns or whatever. Key takeaway there is just notify us. We'll sort it out. But what we don't want is people bailing from the course without letting us know. One other thing, volunteers are there to help, but not to clarify rules. So they're coming at this in help mode. They don't know specifically all the nuances of the rules or the course or checkpoint 17 or whatever. So don't rely on them for that. That's not what they're there for. So just be aware of that. Have your bid numbers visible. That helps us to know who you are. We have, sign you off on the certain parts of the course, etc. Just general, this is universal. 3 short whistle blasts. That indicates you need help. That's standard. Use it, mandatory gear as well. And then one other note is community wise, everyone's in this together. If someone's hurt, help them. We'll give you a time credit, X, Y, and Z. The thing is we want to help anyone that's in danger, hurt, even if it's heat stress or needing X, Y, and Z. It's we're a friendly lot. We're not ultra competitive, or even if we are, we can always take time to help a racer. So that's the main takeaways there. One other minor note: this doesn't come into play greatly for most of the races. Just generally don't trespass. There's really not too many options where you would. Where there's private houses. Most of the areas you're in, you're just not around private property. But just be aware. It's just a general thing. Don't trespass. Rely on those red striped WMA boundaries as your guide. And then we're about to wrap up here. I'm going to try to hit sub 20, hopefully. The courses. So how we're going to do it, I will give you some general notes that apply across the board for all courses, and then we'll do the 6, 12, and 2-day. And as I do them, you can drop off of this pre-race briefing if you don't want to hear about the next race in line. So cutoffs, I mentioned it to reiterate it. Crucial to make the cutoffs as far as scoring goes. You lose 1 CP and then 1 per every 2 minutes. So cutoffs are essential. Another note, we're asking you to pick up at least 1 piece of litter. It's kind of a leave no trace plus. We want to leave this area in a better condition than what we found it. So if you don't mind, please just, as you're going by, you will come across it. At least pick up, a handful, 1 piece at least, stuff it in your pack, bring it back. That way we're leaving the area better than what we found it. I think that's just a good way to go about things. And then a 6-hour note. A lot of first time racers, a lot of kids showing up for that. That's one aspect of it. Also for the 6-hour race, we have this huge mixed crowd. We have people that have done 4-day expedition races. We've had people that have done 100 plus of these, Cecil McFarland. So we have this huge range of racers showing up for this 6-hour event. So what I've done is I've tried to give a little bit for everybody. You'll see there's a pocket that are pretty straightforward navigation for those kind of first timers, kind of sticking to some core trails and easy navigation. I think we have some cross country kids showing up from the high school. There's one section that you want to run out to pretty much the prettiest waterfall around Paintsville Lake and make that your race. Go for it. That's one section of it. Then we have another section that's much more navigationally hard, kind of bushwhacking. So for those 4-day expeditioners that want to go out and have a true adventure race type feel, there's a little bit of that for everything. It's not going to probably be everything for everyone, but at least there's pockets of it that's going to capture those crowds. So that's a note on the 6-hour. 6-hour folk, again, if you're new to it, excited to have you, excited to see what you think about it. Hope you enjoy it. Make the most of it. If you come back with 0 CPs or all of them, no judgment. Have fun. Have fun in the 6 hours. And 6-hour people, if you want to drop off the pre-race briefing now, I want to dive into the 12 and the 2-day. So these won't apply to you. Stick around if you want. Otherwise, I will see you Saturday morning. 12-hour folk, don't have much to add. I will say I usually don't give you this. This may be one of the clearable courses that we have set. I say that and then watch. No one will clear it and people will be 3 hours late. But I think this one is clearable in the 12-hour lane. So yeah, use that for what it is. Take it for just what I'm thinking. Who knows? Other than that, I think you're ready to roll. I looked at the roster. A lot of you I know. So I think you're ready to roll on it. So yeah, you can drop off the pre-race briefing unless you want to hear about the 2-day that you're missing. Otherwise, I will see you Saturday morning as well. And now the 2-day folk. I'm not going to beat my sub 20, but I do want to show you a few things here. Some of it may be new to you. The bin and the PFDs, we're asking you to label those. It's something as simple as duct tape with your bib number. Super useful for us to keep track of who's moved through the swim. So do that for us. Label the label the bins, label the PFDs. A note on the PFDs as well, added the option, recommendation, that you can bring an additional PFD or a whatever, a small inflatable. Don't get crazy. Don't bring a pack raft, but something to help your pack float or to help you float, that's inflatable. We don't want kickboards or anything crazy that are hard to transport. We're just trying to facilitate you getting across that. I actually think it's 220 meters, I think is what I distance it at. So not a long swim, but if you've not done it with a pack, it can be challenging. So yeah, use that extra PFD flotation device to help you float or your pack float. I think that'll make it much easier for you. Last note, just that's on here is mid camp, super rustic. Get that in mind. Kind of a field type environment. So yeah, don't come in thinking it's a state park campground or a RV resort. That's not what it is. So just plan accordingly with your resupply. And then I shared the location here with a note down there, just to cue in on kind of what to expect and if you have any people. Other notes, bins, PFDs. On the swim, this one may be obvious, but have a system to protect that map. You may be submerged or whatever. Ziplocs, dry bag, map case, etc. You got to protect that map. Still undecided on whether you'll get your maps all at once or whether we'll split it up on day 1 or day 2. But yeah, just be prepared to protect the whole map set on that swim. And then just to highlight kind of the last core points here, this one's a hard one. Like, it's hard. Elevation's hard. A lot of the terrain is super slow due to undergrowth or the steepness or just complete lack of trails. So be prepared for it, especially day 1. Actually, day 1. Day 1's what I'm talking about. Day 2 is relatively tame. So in saying that, again, to reiterate, super steep, 40-foot contours, don't let it deceive you. Stay on the map. Navigation may look straightforward, but realize that the consequences of coming off of your nav are, they're going to suck a lot of energy, going to suck a lot of time, a lot of motivation. So to give you just perspective, just some stats here. I was out there for 30 miles. I gained 8K, 8,000 feet of gain, to get your head around just how steep this thing can be if you go for those kind of outside the core points. Hard, slow, be prepared for it. And then the whole self-sufficiency, self-extraction speech, come at it being able to self-rescue. Super important. Lots of times you won't have reception. You won't have the means to, get immediate help. So come at it with a mindset that you're in it to get yourself out of it, to get yourself to the finish. A lot of the names I recognize on the roster, a lot I don't. So yeah, just come at it with that mentality, much like you would any adventure, any hike. My last note on that, I haven't done this before. We haven't done this before. But let me recommend it now. So if you haven't used it, if you haven't know about it, Gaia GPS, this is what I use to set courses. So if you're wondering why all the checkpoints are where they're supposed to be, they're double verified with Gaia. That's what I run all the mapping off of. I'm encouraging you, if you don't have it, to get it. It's super cheap. By the way, I'm not sponsored by Gaia. I'm just trying to help us be safe out there. The version you need is $4.99 a month, and really they have a free trial, like 7 days, which would clear you. Point being is download this thing, download the offline map set for the Paintsville Lake area, and it's like 2 clicks of a button to get it there. It's a layer button, download maps. Like, it's super intuitive. So don't let the tech deter you from doing this. The point being is that if you're out there, you don't have reception, or you're trying to interface with me to find out where you're at, which is fine. Like, I'll totally help you with that. And there's a few workarounds to get you there. If you have the offline maps on your phone, worst comes to worst, and you're going to make that call to call me or to find out where you're at, or you can't get reception, it's on your phone. You'll know exactly where you're at. And that is a huge, huge component of self-rescue, or even coordinating outside search and rescue to be able to find you. So again, I can't encourage you enough. Download the maps, download Gaia. obviously, I was hesitant to encourage it because I don't want it to think that I'm promoting using outside devices to help you. That's not what it's for. This is only if you're going to break open that phone to make the emergency call, to call me that you're hopelessly lost or you feel hopelessly lost. So I think you get the point here. Come at it with that mindset like you would any adventure. Be ready to self-rescue. And, it's a good practice for all your adventures, not just races. Yeah, be equipped to know where you're at when the maps fail or when your mind fails. That way you can self-extract and be ready to go. So that's that. Today, here's you're in for it on day one. Make it through it. Hopefully, I'm billing it a lot harder than it is. That way, you'll come into it and just knock its world out. But if not, make it through day one. Day two is much, much easier. Yeah, and then we'll see you. I'm excited for you. This is a big one, a big undertaking, lots of miles. So yeah, thanks for signing up with us, and we'll see you. We'll see you Saturday. Later.